Hey everyone, danheilman here. This is going to be another Summoner's Glory video. Okay, today I have something very exciting for everyone. This is going to be a video comparing every single phantom in the game and comparing how much damage they do to each other. Alright, be two categories. There'll be single target and AoE damage. But before I begin, I would like to point out that around 85% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed to my channel. Please go down, press that subscribe button, smash that like button. It would help out my channel immensely. So let's get right into it. Okay, first of all, let me make myself a little bit smaller here. And let's show you the numbers. Okay, so let's start with AoE phantom damage dealers, and then I'll kind of move over to single target. Okay, so basically how the spreadsheet works is on the very left-hand side, you see the base attack of all the phantoms. It's either physical attack or magic attack, depending on what they use. I've used an assumption of 90% increased damage, whether it be physical or magic attack, and that will multiply all these. And then some of the phantoms have their own self buff that they use, so that'll add in with this other buff here. That brings you down to this attack total target right here. This is just their total attack. So that's their base attack plus all percentage of attack that they have. And basically there's multipliers for their A1 and A2, or whatever their hard hitting damage ability is. And then basically it comes down here, and this is single target and then multiplied by 3 targets. I use 3 targets because you know, some dungeons, for example, the dragon, only have 3 targets to attack. So I thought it'd be just a good range to use 3 targets. Also, you know, when you're near the end of a battle or middle of a battle, some of the enemy mobs might have already been dead, so we're going to use that. Okay, now, if you'll notice something, look at the #1 AoE damage dealer in the game, Goddess Zoe. A couple disclaimers before I move through and go through some of these. If you'll look down here, these are my disclaimers. So, this is assuming that every single fandom is SS quality, fully upgraded skills, and level 1. I only have the base stats of all the phantoms at level 1, so that was just the easiest way to compare them. When you look at them at higher levels, which I did down here, I just wanted to do a sanity check to make sure that, you know, there's nothing weird with scaling as phantoms level up throughout the evolution process and the leveling process, and the numbers stayed pretty consistent once you got here, so that looks good there too. One other thing is, this is assuming damage on the second turn. So this is kind of be like a burst damage test. So it'll only take into effect the first and second turn. And then also it assumes that there is no crit chance and no crit damage on anyone. So all you gotta do is take that number and multiply it by your crit chance and multiply it by your crit multiplier, and that'll be the damage that they'll actually do. And this also assumes that all the translations of the skills are correctly worded when it says, you know, more damage or additional damage, stuff like that. So let's continue. I also have all these highlighted in green are the current meta phantoms. So let's take a look here. Goddess Zoe, #1, and this doesn't even include the HP burn or the 10% of the enemy's max HP damage. So very interesting. Zeus, #2. Merlin, #3. And if you'll notice, Merlin is actually extremely high single target as well. Ancaris, #4 here. And then this is where it starts to get interesting here. King Argonne. Kind of funny, that was the first SS Phantom I ever pulled. And you can see he's doing 18,000 damage on turn 2. Total through turn 1 and turn 2. And kind of interesting. I used him just because he seemed to hit really hard, and here we go. This proves it. Another interesting one here is Alchemist. I did assume that she uses her A1 twice, because it's the only ability she has that does damage. Her other 2 abilities are, I believe one's a heal, and the other one is some sort of other buff. All right, let's keep going. 7, Alice. #8, Dracula Eye. #9, Puppeteer. #10, Destroyer Vizier. And #11, Tiara. And then one note about about phantoms that use max HP to go through and do their damage is, of course, I'm assuming this base HP, which is a very low value, and I put 125% increased damage, or sorry, increased HP, and that comes from things like runes, your summoner HP, which gets transferred to your phantoms, the mastery test, which gets transferred to your phantoms, and other things like that. So, just a big disclaimer there for HP-based phantoms, because if you look later, you'll notice that Secret Dancer gets, you know, a big bonus because of her HP that she has. So that's kind of why Secret Dancer ends up being pretty low on this damage. But also this is AoE damage for this example here. So another reason why Secret Dancer is a little bit low. There's definitely some phantoms in here that are surprising to me. We'll just keep going through. King Arthur actually is pretty high on AoE damage, and even higher when we get to single target damage. So yeah, let's move over to single target damage, and let's talk about that for a little bit. All right, so let's move over to single target damage and talk about that. So, number 1 single target damage dealer in the game, Merlin. Remember, again, this is at level 1, so there might be something with scaling that happens as you level them out through the game, but I think they'll still be pretty close to accurate on who is the hardest hitting. Very interesting, because Merlin also has a lot of utility with that attack bar reduce on his attack. Let's go through some of these other ones here. Ancaris, number 2 in the game. Secret Dancer, number 3. Goddess Zoe, number 4. King Arthur, number 5. Exiled Berserker, number 6. And then Zeus, obviously his single target damage is going to be a lot less than his AoE damage. Kurur coming in here. Interesting. I've never seen anyone use this phantom before, but he has a very similar attack to Ancaris. He has like a 9 hitter that hits randomly, as well as a passive that can proc some damage as well. So whenever there's a percent chance to proc and all that, I took all of that into effect. Let's see if we can see here. Yeah, you can kind of see the very complicated formula I have here to figure out his damage. So, okay, we'll just keep going here. Darkness Worshipper, Duke of Fate, Jester, actually a very hard-hitting single target phantom. Dead Sword, Ambassador of Light, Victoria, Shark Spearman, and Gleaming Guardian. I would definitely use this AoE phantom damage chart. Very interesting. You know, King Argonne, really surprised. Number 5 hardest hitting phantom in the game. Very interesting. And Alchemist as well. Alchemist is a little bit different because he or she has 3 abilities. So this is assuming that you A1 every time, because her A1 is AoE hard-hitting skill. And you see the multiplier is 2.3, so decent. And she definitely has a pretty decent starting base attack, so very interesting. Alice on the list as well. Dracula Eye, Puppeteer, Destroyer. So definitely some very interesting information here. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm, of course, going to link this spreadsheet down below. Go ahead, take a look. If anyone sees any mistakes on my spreadsheet or anything like that, let me know. But otherwise, very interesting information. So you can see that you see a lot of the current meta are in the top, 10 here. So makes sense. But definitely this may change the meta. Some people might say, hey, look at that Merlin. I got a Merlin laying around. Let's evo him up and get him rolling. So very interesting. Okay. Now let's go down and look at the bottom of the list here. Kind of interesting. Let's just point out some of the worst phantoms in the game. I shouldn't say worst. The weakest hitting phantoms in the game. Kind of makes sense, right? You see a lot of phantoms that are never really used. I mean, look at all these down here. I don't see any in the bottom 20 here that are really being used by anyone. Bloody Overlord is interesting because he has such a base attack, but the only problem with him is, you have to take so much damage to get all that extra hits in. So, I mean, at that point, he may just be dead. So, yeah, very interesting. See, a lot of these just are really not used. So, when they go do this champion rebalance or phantom rebalance, I hope they hit up some of these bottom ones. Yeah, especially Scarlett Dragon. She's pretty rare. I didn't pull her until I pulled about 800 books. So kind of interesting that she's so low on the list, especially because she has an ability that scales off her health, but you know her base health is very, very low. So another reason why she's so low on the list. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Again, go down, subscribe to my channel, smash that like button. Doesn't cost you anything. All right, see you guys. Bye.